Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and this presentation is titled How to Keep Up Morale During the United Pilot Strike. Now, any strike is difficult. They try to wear you down. The company that you're striking against tries to wear you down, and are worried about ever getting your job back. Especially somebody like me. They had 6,300 and about 30 pilots, and I was 10 from the bottom of the seniority list. So I'm right there at the bottom. And that's why, when good old Dick Ferris said, hey, and pointed directly at me, could get to be a 747 captain, when you jump 6,300 numbers, that is enticing, but no. And I kind of talk about that in the previous one. And I was a little, concerned about that. That was kind of a test program because I wanted to see, how much kickback I might get. And I only got, I think it was like 3 dislikes so far. So there's only a few faithful pilots out there, as it were. But it seems like other people liked it. Now, back in the day, back in the strike of 1985, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have email and all this stuff. Communication was by printed matter. Yeah, we actually got things in the mail that weren't just a bunch of ads or solicitations or typically junk. And we got the Friendly Times, and they talked about how they're operating with reduced schedule. And I'm going to tell you about that picture there. Here's another picture that some people took. It's kind of interesting. I guess if you're going to cross the picket line, you end up looking like Groucho Marx. Even the poor women, I feel bad for their mothers, but there must be something genetic about that because the big nose and the bushy eyebrows and the glasses. It was just kind of a strange look for these pilots. I guess they didn't take a lot of pride in what they were doing. But this is an interesting picture here that they put, and it's a spontaneous show of support. Look at all these people who just went down to the ramp and they got their hands up in the air and they are just happy to be, and they happen to have, a little elevated platform where they could spontaneously take a picture of this spontaneous um, bit of support here, and just interesting. All these people, came down and they're just so happy. That's so good to see. And of course, you got the articles there in Cranes and every place else talking about how United can't lose the pilot strike. And the article it's not that they can't lose, is that they must not lose because these darn pilots are being paid so much more than everybody else, and United's going to go in bankruptcy and it'll just fall apart. Well, we did go in bankruptcy, but that was a different thing much later. But that's where they took away my pension. Um, but anyway, they just had to win it, and we're getting all this printed matter. And of course, it can be kind of depressing. And then I get this letter from our VP of flight operations. He talks about, what's going to happen. They want to operate the airline, but if things don't come to it, this is what's going to happen to you. And the little line up here, this is kind of what I used to get my job at Boeing back, because it says recall will be based on qualifications to perform available work, not seniority. And it could, of course, and it could be several years, if ever, before striking pilots are returned. Well, tell me about that now, 40 years later. But yeah, okay. I'm 10 from the bottom, and depending on how many people may or may not come back, I could really be in a world of hurt. I'm looking at my airline career is pretty much over at this point. Um, not not too hopeful. And here we got a letter about wearing of the uniform. Well, these poor guys down here, they're not captains, but they're striking in uniform, and right there the letter says, "Up, can't do that." Well, I did it too. Fortunately, well, there are pictures of me because this one lady from the office, she came out, and we thought, oh, that's nice. We waved her, and then she picks up a camera and takes all our pictures, and yeah, that didn't go over so well. It wasn't quite the friendly wave you would have thought. Well, let me explain how things were in the olden days. You had this book, and this one came out just right after the strike. It's good to be back. Okay, so I'm a little foreshadowing here. I guess you probably know how this did come out. It was 29 days, and we went back, and that was a fun story too. But you actually had this paper thing, and you had to open it up, and you had to look at the schedule. And okay, it gets worse. You had to pick up this thing called a phone. I mean, not the little ones like this, that you carry around and stuff. It was this big thing, and it had wires, and it went into the wall. And if you started walking away, it got ripped out of your hand. That's how you dropped a call. The receiver physically got ripped out of your hand, and so you couldn't go on the internet. You couldn't, fill out all these little forms to get a flight. You actually had to call somebody. And now listen to this. You actually got somebody in the United States, not an Afghanian. Not there's anything wrong with Afghan call centers, but you actually got to talk to somebody that you actually reasonably understand what they were saying. So you were talking to a person in the United States. And the thing was interesting, leading up to the strike, they were telling all the reservations people that United had 5 to 6 thousand pilots ready to go. And day one, they were going to fly the airplane. There'd be absolutely no disruption in service. And don't worry the least about it because we had them ready to go. And it was just going to be wonderful. So what I did, and this is the only way back then you could make a reservation, and Mileage Plus and all that stuff was just in its infancy. But so what I would do, kind of as a mood enhancer, let's put it that way, I would pick up the phone and I would call reservations. And I would say, hi there, I'm a businessman and I need to book the 10 o'clock flight. There was a real nice 10 o'clock flight on the DC-10 from Chicago to San Francisco. I'm going to buy, I know it's late because I want the flight tomorrow, so I'll pay full fare first class. I want full fare first class tickets, and I like seat 2B. I like the aisle seat there, so that's the one I want. And she goes, I'm sorry, sir, but that flight is not operating. And I go, no, 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 no. I was told that there would be absolutely no disruption. And now I want to book that flight. So I started saying again, I want to book the 10 o'clock flight and all. And she said, well, I'm sorry, sir, but that's not operating right now. But what we can do is we can put you on another flight that goes to Los Angeles. And I said, no, 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 no. I want to go to San Francisco, not Los Angeles. Well, sir, we can put you on this one that goes to Los Angeles. And then we can put you on some commuter airline. I don't remember the name of it, but they were flying one of these things. And I said, that sounds like something with propellers. I said, does that have propellers? And she starts laughing. And I said, I am just a nervous flyer. And I don't like flying anything with propellers. It just makes me really nervous. And but isn't there any way I can go from Chicago to San Francisco at 10 o'clock? Because they told me there would be no problem. And she comes back and says, well, sir, what we can do is there's an American flight at that time, and they are operating. And let me see if I can get you on that. And I said, well, no, 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 don't worry about that. I'm in their system. I'll just call them directly and book the flight there. I want to thank you. So that's what I did. Every time I started feeling down, I just called reservations and I tried to book a full fare first class ticket to just about anywhere, and they couldn't do it. So that made me feel better. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.